Today, I had a job interview that didn't go to plan. So, aside from my books, I have a background in warehousing, so I can operate different forklifts and I've got the licenses and all sorts of things. And I had an interview lined up, and I take it serious. What you see, like, what I'm wearing here is what I was going to wear to the interview. Now, I am a smart casual person. I'm not going to overdo it, especially when you're doing manual jobs. It looks stupid. You try to dress up wearing a tie. In the past, I did wear nice shoes. Now, I just don't feel comfortable in that anymore. So I was wearing trainers, and I just thought, ain't ideal, but it's a balance to be had. And to be honest, I'm my own person. It's If it's a fashion contest, then give it to someone else. If you're doing it based on someone's experience and their ability to do the job, then let's have a conversation. But if it ever comes down to your attire, it's like I'm not interested. I could be in a high position one day. You never know what positions you get. And there could be really serious meetings, but it doesn't mean I'm going to wear suits and things just because it's expected. It's impossible because what happens is you end up dressing to impress, but you don't even feel comfortable in your own skin. I think it's far more better to feel relaxed where you can actually communicate with someone. That's really where I'm up to. So why didn't the job interview go to plan? In all honesty, I was fed up before I even got there. I was getting fed up. It was annoying. Um, Initially the job did, like, for instance, it didn't tell you the salary, so that was bad enough. But I thought you can discuss this. That's fine. But I'm not expecting anything great. But there's like a minimum needed really when you consider the distance I was having to travel. There was another annoyance. It's something that I actually don't like in jobs, and I hate it where first of all, I don't like it when they don't pay your lunch break. Now I understand they've got their reasons and things, but they tried to save a few quid here. It comes out your pocket here, and it's like not being funny. I know companies are there to make a profit, but you're going to work to make a living. And when they're that tight with money and they put it down to their own expenses, it's like, yeah, that means you're not invest. I'd rather be with somewhere where someone actually values you and invests in you. Um, I would, in all honesty, when a job is like, for instance, 37 and a half hours a week rather than 40 because they take half an hour lunch, fine. Ain't ideal. It should be 40 hours paid, but whatever. I resent having to work the time though. I'd rather just lose like an hour and a half, whatever, half an hour's pay a day, whatever it is, whatever. I don't like to be forced to stay. So this job, for instance, and I was trying to give it the benefit of the doubt. It was 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. Now, 6 till 2 is enough. I think, in all honesty, you may grow to resent that extra hour, and I think deep down I probably would, and I'm aware of it. But I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt because it's further away than a typical job I've had in before, like in the area. I've got there's like warehouses, for instance, round the back of me. It's literally 2 minutes, but of course they have to be available. It has to be good enough, whatever. This job was 25 minutes away. It was 15 miles. I was adding the miles up before I even left, and I was like, that's 150 miles a week back and forth. And then over the course of a year, that was nearly 8,000 miles a year. And I'm like, that's a lot of mileage just to get to like a warehouse production facility, whatever. When there's some on my doorstep, it's like it's not correlating, but we'll see. Because a road trip's not bad. So it wasn't bad for the first 5-10 minutes of the trip, maybe for 8 minutes. The rest of it was terrible because I was on the main road and then I was having to go down some dodgy country lanes. Now, in the UK, some of the country roads look beautiful, and to be honest, they're fun to drive. Some of them are absolute shitholes. And that's what these were. These were the ones where the camber's terrible. It's like this all the time. Some of it's chewed up. So you're like, God damn. I've had this before where I drive down these sort of roads and it smashes the springs on my car and it costs a fortune to keep repairing it. And I know these sort of roads, and I'm like, that's what that road is. And that was like going on and on and on, and it was getting down some divots. You're getting some streams down the side. You got farms. It's like you're like, not being funny. For a job to start at 6, because it's far away, at a minimum, I would have to wake up at 4:30 and leave by about 5:15, I think, maybe. But then when you say 5:15, it should be 5:10 because you've got to give leeway just in case there's something on the road, there's an incident. So I'm like, go wake up at 4:30 in the morning. You don't finish till 3, so you're probably getting home maybe 3:45. I think that's a long day anyway. Plus the fact they made you work that extra bit because they couldn't be bothered to pay your lunch or give you the choice. I think give me the freedom of choice. You've given me all these dodgy roads. It's far. There's no salary guaranteed. I don't know what it is. And I know that over the course of a month, because my car's a big engine, I was averaging it around about £200, £250 a month in petrol, fuel. And I'm like, this job needs to cut to pay decent pay to cover that. Otherwise, what we're doing, there's no point paying all your bills and your fuel costs, and you're struggling to survive. You know that doesn't correlate to me. If I'm working my ass off, then I should have a decent standard of living. The reality is, you attend an interview or whatever you're doing, and you start. The way I see it is, I start with nothing, I can leave with nothing. It's fine. You know, I always see interviews as a two-way thing. It's for you to be impressed by them and you to impress them. Um, there's no point you wasting their time, and no point them wasting your time. So, like I said, the travel was already annoying me. It was worse than I thought. And in all honesty, like I said, I did a post before, and I'm talking like I think it was like a text. But the way I see it is like sometimes things are for us to learn. So, for instance, now I know when I'm applying for jobs, that sort of distance or that sort of areas, because it's off the beaten path, because it's off the main road, that's too far for me. Like, that's too far. If I stayed on the main road, I could have done maybe 20 minutes on the main road. It'd be a far easier journey, you know. Because it was going off these beaten trails, it felt like forever. I was like fed up halfway, and I was like, God damn, I still got to have 12 minutes of this shit. And it's still doing it. Stop, start, wiggle, wiggle. It's like, oh my God, this is outrageous. Like I said, when there's other places easier to get to, it doesn't make sense. So then I turn up, and I think, oh, I'm already not in the best mood here. This was a nightmare to get to, and I've got to get home. And I was thinking, imagine doing this every day. It's just so unnecessary, and it would just drive me nuts, especially if the weather's bad as well, and in the dark. Everybody's want to go fast because, you know, the country lanes, and these roads are dangerous, or they're just going to screw the car up. And it's meanwhile you've got everyone pushing you forward. Then I turn up, and it's like a farm production place where they process the stuff. I don't know what it is, but from the outside, it just looked a bit crap. In all honesty, and I just thought, oh, this is shit. The car park was already full, and I thought, again, you have to look at these things when you get to work. Do I really want to fight over a parking space? And like I said, it looked a bit. I'm good. Like, I've got a lot of experience in different warehousing in different industries, so I usually have a good intuition when it comes to this place is good to work, this place is a mess, this place, and straight away I just didn't get good vibe. But like I said, I'm really annoyed by the travel. It doesn't look very good. But I was like, you know what? I've already turned up though. You might as well just go for the interview. You might as well just go and at least find out about it. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I might as well just go in. So I go in. It says report to register for the receptionist. Now, I think how things are on your first impression is everything. I think personally. So if a place is not organised, I can't help but think, how disorganised is it in the back? You know, how much care and thought is put into the role and everything. You know, you're going to spend an awful lot of your time there. So what is this in? I've got in straight away. It's production staff only, and I'm like, what? This one was that logistics side. Like, I think it's like an office. Okay. So then I come back again. I'm like, I don't know where the receptionist is. It's not even planted anywhere. There's nothing. There's no receptionist. There was a sign-in sheet, so I signed the sign-in sheet. And then I'm thinking, I don't even know if anyone knows I'm here, and no one's introduced themselves to me. So I sat down for about 5 minutes. So I try and get places a little bit early, but you know, this is ridiculous. So I just sat there and I just thought, I've lost interest. I can't be asked. This is doing my head in. Like, I can't even be bothered to try to sell myself to them, because at the moment they haven't sold themselves to me very well. And in all honesty, I'm looking at it as a farm company, like that industry. And I'm thinking they don't tend to pay very well. Like, I wouldn't expect a good salary with a job like that. And like I said, I need £250 on top of any decent, like, you can't have minimum wage or anything stupid, because I'm never going to make any money doing this job in terms of like bills and things. It's just ridiculous. So I thought about it, and I just thought, I've had enough. I've had enough already. So I just decided to call it quits and go home. I don't normally do that. I'd have to have really bad vibes and just think, this isn't something I can do. If it was an agency job and it was for like a week or two, I could put up with it. But because it was like an interview for a permanent long-term role, I'm like, I couldn't even. It's not like, what was the point? I would just be going through the motions. I don't really want this role. It doesn't look good to me. Now, you could argue that I could have had the interview and then they could have shown me around and maybe it's better than it looks, and that's a potential for that. But I still have to travel in, get up at 4:30 in the morning to drive those wiggly, shitty roads in the pitch black because it's an early start. You have to work an extra hour just because the company's too cheap to pay it, and they're forcing you to cover the 8-hour shift because they want 8 hours of work. It's like, I resent stuff like that. If I was a boss, I understand there's profits to be made. And this is why I can't be. I could easily lead. I could easily be a manager or a supervisor. I could do those roles, and I know I could. I have that capability in me. But the reason I would not accept a role like that, like I've been offered an opportunity to be a supervisor before, and it was almost like a supervisor team leader, really. In the port, there was a port where I went. It's Docklands. It said I just wanted the normal role though, because what I can't do is I can't put pressure on a team below me, like from rules that I don't agree with, and that's why I couldn't do it. So if anyone ever offered me like a manager supervisor role, I'd always turn it down. I would turn it down because I don't trust the bosses to have the best interest of the staff at heart, and I can't be their voice because I won't do it. I won't filter it down. I'd always protect the staff, and I'd be in a constant loggerheads with the management, with the higher ups, and because I don't like the way people are treated, and that's why, like, if I had a company, I wouldn't treat people like that. You know, yeah, I understand if you start looking at all your staff and you say you can save £10, £10 per member of staff each day, in if we don't pay them lunch breaks and things like that. And it's like, yeah, but they're working hard for us, and you make them happy, they'll be more productive. You make it a happy place to work. I think that's just more important. You get the best out of them. And when you're taking money out of their pocket, you're taking it out of their lifestyle when they go home. That I would rather, like, if I had staff, I'd rather know that they're comfortable when they're at home, that they've earned that living. You've worked hard all week. Doesn't matter what your job is. Too many people think, well, my job's more important. It doesn't matter. When someone goes to work for a week and they put their heart and soul into their job, you've earned the opportunity to have a decent quality of life. You just have that. And when a company just says, no, we don't value that at all, that says everything to me. And it's like, I couldn't do it. So if I had a company, everybody would get their lunch breaks paid. And I wouldn't be expecting people to stay extra. I wouldn't be demanding that of them. And that's why I just can't stand why other companies can't do it, because they don't care. And for instance, when I see that on a job listing, for me, it tells me a lot about a company already. So my back was already sort of up with this role, and all these other things were just amplifying and amplifying and amplifying. And I was like, no. Now I understand there'll be other people on the other side thinking, well, suck it up, just get it done. It's like, that's up to you if your job's worth. That's up to you if you sell your soul for money. I don't do that shit. I'm looking for a balanced life and place. For me, the box to tick weren't necessarily money, and it wasn't necessarily location, and it wasn't necessarily hours. The one thing I don't want to work in is a toxic environment. I can put up with a company saying, look, we don't have the finances right now to pay a big salary. But what we do invest in our staff. We give them potential to grow and learn new skills. And everything's fair. We work as a team. You know, little things like that. If I hear the fact that everybody's a group, we treat everyone with respect, that goes a long way with me, because that's what I'm looking for. So I'm more looking for a place that isn't a toxic environment. I'm looking for somewhere that it's actually really you're inspired to go work. You want to be there. You're not like waiting to get home. And I think when you are, you're losing part of your soul. You know, the job I left in 2023, it was the best paying job I've ever had. And not for 1 minute do I ever regret leaving. Now, people might think, that's crazy. I bet you do sometimes. I don't. It was good money, and I missed the money. I don't miss the job. The job itself was good if the management had been better. It was just an absolute shithole because too many lies, too many broken promises. I couldn't have respect from anymore, and the job was too dangerous because it was inept. So those situations, it's like, no, it wasn't sustainable. That was a terrible working environment. Under different management, it could have been good. And maybe now it is better. I don't know. But I couldn't continue to do that to myself, to put myself in that situation. So, yeah, the money was good, but I couldn't continue with that. It's just, it goes against all my values, you know? So, yeah, I started with nothing. I finished with nothing. That's fine. And that was my choice to just do that. You know, I value myself. I know I'm good at what I do. The thing with me is I know I'm good at interviewing. Without being big-headed, most of the roles I get, I tend to be one of the first choices. Don't always get chosen, of course. You don't win every battle, but if I do get chosen, I'm usually one of the first choices. Like that one that pays really well. I know I was the first choice because the way I was being spoken to, even during and after, because we had a group session later, and they pulled me they wanted to know what I thought. They were really interested in what I thought. Then when we had our employee numbers, when a group of us started, I was the earlier number. And I've had other places as well do the same thing. So my experience shines through. I think my intelligence comes through, and my ability to communicate. Because like I said, an interview for me isn't just about me selling myself. I want to find out more about the role. And I do things my own way. I don't follow anybody else. Like, I know some places, some people are say research the company beforehand because it shows you're eager. It's like, I get that, but I don't do that. I'd rather learn listening to someone. I'd rather they told me about the company rather than me go and do all the research and then get like an impression of. I want to hear it from the people that work there, the one that interviewing me. I want to hear. You want to hear about me. I want to hear about you, and I want to hear about the role. So I see it as a two-way conversation. Otherwise, if you just sit there nodding, it's like, are you even paying attention? and I could talk for ages. So as you can see here, I have a lot to say. I'm good at communicating, and I'm good at what I do. But like I said, the main thing for me is a good working environment, and that's where it's important other people sell it to you too. You know, because if someone's just interested in talking, like saying other things, I wouldn't waste their time. I would just say this isn't for me. Because if it doesn't fit us, it doesn't fit. It just doesn't. And I'm sick and tired of people lying though. It's promising the world, but they under deliver. So I'd rather just people just honest. This is what the role is. This is what we expect, and this is what we offer. And it's like, okay, I can weigh that up, but don't promise the world and then don't deliver on anything, because that's what happened with this other job. Paid well, but it was a mess, and it's like that. That was outrageous. So this one's quite unfortunate, but in all honesty, it wasn't practical. It just wasn't. I'm looking at the distance. Like, I mean, I'm doing it. And, you know, I said if I weren't interested, I wouldn't have gone. And I was trying to give it every bit. I was trying to give it every opportunity. Like I said, I was halfway there and I was like, this is annoying. At this point, this is as far, like, if I'm going to, like, if you're doing a commute to work every day, when I started getting fed up, that was my limit. If the job had been there, I could have took it. I could have considered it, because like, that's a commute. After that was just a mess, and it was like you've still got half of it left to go. And it was like, And this is all wiggly, shitty country roads. Like I said, very tight, very windy. It was like the roads are just going to smash it, ruin your car, to be totally honest. And the mileage, I think, was a bit excessive when I've got other locations near me. But yeah, it's a bit of a shame. But like I said, all the boxes, everything was just frustrating me, leading up to the fact there was no reception in the end. And it was like, how can you have a company that has no receptionist or something, or no signage to at least point you in the right direction? There was a stairway after, so everything's downstairs. I'm signing the sheet. There's a stairway, but you don't just. There was no sign to say this. Like, let's say reception's upstairs. There was no sign to say reception upstairs. I mean, how rude is that? Just to start walking around a business, you can't do that. Maybe you were supposed to just sit in the stairs and wait, sit in the chair and wait. But then I think a sign just to say, to make you comfortable, you know? You're sitting there anxious because you're like, I don't know where I'm supposed to be. Like, do they even know I'm here? On top of that, though, I just want to say, like, when it comes to interview, it's important you push yourself outside your comfort zone. Because if you don't try it, you'll never get anywhere. So, like, most people don't look forward to an interview. It's like you're being judged and you're putting yourself on the chopping block, aren't you? So, there's every reason to say, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. But you've got to push yourself outside your comfort zone to achieve anything. But it's also, I think, value yourself. That's the thing with me. I value myself very highly. People can put it down to arrogance, whatever. But the reality is, when you go to work, you go to one place of business. If you just accept the first opportunity and you just say, like, it's all or nothing, it's like you're forgoing any opportunity to be happy. That place, quite clearly for me, it just wasn't going to be compatible with me. And I knew it. And there's no point forcing it, because I'll continue applying for positions that look like I don't just apply for everything. I go through the wording and making sure that it's fine. And I'm quite picky. I don't just go for every opportunity that's available. And that's what I'll do. I'll continue looking until something works out where I'm like, you know what, I'm looking forward to going to work. Yeah, if I can get that commute down like crazy and it's literally local, that'd be even better, won't it? Because all of a sudden my costs are lower, but that means I can take less pay. Let's say this like £1 an hour less or 50 pence, whatever. It's not a lot less, but you know, ideally you go, oh, I want a bit more, but it's not costing me anything to get to work, really. Then it's worth me considering that, because that's nothing. That's fine, and that's so much easier coming in and out of work. All of a sudden I can leave later. If a job starts at 6, I don't have to leave my house till 20 to 6, or not even, you know, because you don't want to be late. But it's like, yeah, 1:45. I've had jobs that are that close that I can literally just leave that late and just zoom straight in. So that's you leaving at 5:45. Instead, you're having to leave at like 6:10 at the other job. So you can actually get up later. You can get up like 40 minutes later. That makes a difference. And you're getting home a lot quicker. So anyway, all these little reasons I just try and empower people really to sort of like, it's not just about you impressing an employer, it's them impress you too. Know what you want. Like I say, I'm starting to, I dress smart casual for interviews because of the roles they are. Because you can overdress for a manual position, then you look like you're not really ready to do the role. Maybe this person's too clean to get your hands dirty. That sort of thing can happen. But like I said, if I was ever being interviewed for something a bit more prestigious, I still probably dress like this because I'm not there to impress anyone with my physical appearance. I don't care about any of that shit. And if an employer does, that's not really my problem. It's like I'm not here to have a freaking fashion contest. And I think that's the trend that exists at the moment, isn't it? I get it. It looks like you don't care to an extent, maybe. The more you dress, the more you're ready to impress. Look, I tried to present myself, but I just think it's more important to be comfortable and then you can be loose, then you can be yourself, rather than be all uptight, nervous, sweating, anxious. It's like, what's the point of feeling like that? I want to be loose. I want to be happy. I want to just have a conversation. You tell me what the job is. I'll explain to you who I am, what I'm about, what my experience is, what I'm expecting, what I can bring to the company. That's how I interview. So I'm quite loose and I'm quite comfortable with the questions. And for the most part, I tend to be one of the first choices. And I do tend to have managers a lot of the time argue over me. I've had that before. There was this other warehouse I applied for a while ago, and they had like a shipping side and a goods in. They had two different sides. One's out, one's in. And they said, "Oh, they both said, oh, I want him," because I had I was going to take the role, but I turned it down, and it was 12-hour shifts. It was really long. It was like crazy. That was like 6 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Monday, I think Sunday to Wednesday or Sunday to Thursday. I can't remember, but I just thought, oh, that's going to kill me. Like, it'd been good, but it would have killed me. And it weren't paying that well. And that was in the past before I got that other job. But yeah, I had the HR lady, when I was talking to her, she said they're both fighting over you, and she was laughing. I thought that's nice. Uh, I mean, maybe people can see I can communicate, I can interview. I'm not a nervous interviewer. I don't get nervous because I'm looking for them to impress me just as much as it's the other way around. So it's a two-way street, and I think if I can impart anything on people, it's just relax. It's relax and have high standards for yourself too.